What's up, Longhorn fans? Jason Negro here, head football coach at St. John Bosco High School. And I'm here with Rick Lozano, as you know, Lucky Low. And we're going to talk about Coach Sark and the impact that he's going to have on college recruiting here in the state of California. So, Rick, let's go.
Okay, Coach, thank you for doing this. Just to start with, how about general thoughts on Steve Sarkisian taking over at Texas? What's your impression of him getting that job?
I think it's a great opportunity for Coach Sark. We have a great relationship. I've known him for a long time during his period that he spent at USC, as well as the time that he spent up there at Washington. Even at Alabama, he come out and recruit the players that we have here at St. John Bosco. We're very fortunate to have the type of athletes that could play at a program like that. And I just really value his friendship. I value the man that he stands for and what he has done for the game of college football. And I'm really hoping that we have an opportunity to send some of our kids his way because I want to see him be successful.
Well, needless to say, the folks down in Texas are very excited to have him, especially coming off that national championship game and the offense that was displayed there by Alabama and actually throughout his career there. What makes him such an offensive mind?
I think the first thing that makes him an offensive mind is his ability to be able to mentor quarterbacks. Being a former quarterback, playing at the collegiate level. I think he played in the CFL for a couple years, and then coming back into the college ranks and being able to work with young high school kids and develop them over a period of time. And as you can see what he did with Mac Jones at Alabama, he took a 3-star quarterback that was a backup to 2 guys that are currently starting in the NFL. And he was able to, with the talent that he had around him, put him in a situation to be successful. He is ultimately a quarterback mentor. He's a quarterback guru when it comes to that. So when you're talking about offense and when you're talking about him having the ability to be successful, it starts at the quarterback spot. And no better guy in the country, I think, right now is Coach Sarkisian.
So I mentioned to you previously that I talked to Coach Rollinson over at Mater Dei yesterday, and he talked generally about Sark taking over the job at Texas, and he dipped a little bit into recruiting. But with you, I want to get more specific about recruiting, and specifically here in the Southern California area because of Coach Sark's ties to the area, having been at USC, coached up at Washington in the Pac-12 as well. What are your thoughts on his ability to be able to continue to recruit Southern California?
Well, I think he's going to have a huge impact here in Southern California. And I think one of the biggest things is our kids are willing to leave the state and they're willing to go play for national powers. And if Coach Sark can convince kids early on in his recruiting tenure there, to be able to try to let them know that they are going to be with the likes of Ohio States and the Notre Dames and the Alabamas and Clemsons and things like that, then he's definitely going to have an opportunity to take kids from California and go to Texas. It's an easy flight, to go from California to Texas. The families will be able to go. The environment and the weather is, similar in some respects in terms of that. So, and our kids are looking for great destinations across the country to be able to elevate themselves to play at a national level with the most elite athletes, in the world.
He's been away from Southern California for a number of years now. Do you think he still has the clout to be able to come back and dip into the Southern California talent pool?
Without question. And the reason why I say that is because his notoriety that he has had over the past couple of years at Alabama and what he has done with Tua and what he did with Mac Jones in putting that program at where they are at offensively, and him being able to come to Mater Dei and pull out Bryce Young and take him there, who was a Southern California kid, and take him to Tuscaloosa, Alabama is not easy. But that's the kind of pulling power that I think Coach Sark has, and I don't see it's going to stop just because he's not at Alabama. Being at Texas, he's going to have the same ability to do that.
Are kids attracted to a coach, the recruiter, the guy who brings them to a program, or are they attracted to the program?
I think it's a combination of both, but I think the coach and the recruiting abilities that the coach has and the message at which he can tell, the story at which he is using with these young individuals to get them to go to the schools is pretty impactful, and I think it's pretty powerful. I could speak for some of the more elite 5-star athletes that we have had here at Bosco, and a lot of the kids get a real close relationship with the coaches, and that's one of the reasons why they have chosen to go to Ohio State, Florida State, Clemson, programs like that.
And you may have answered this briefly, but I'll ask again. What makes Sark such a great recruiter?
I think he's authentic. That's one of the things that I've always noticed about Sark. Everything that he has talked to me about, what he talks to recruits about, has come to fruition. And he's not telling them a bill of goods. He's not trying to sell them a pipe dream that not necessarily is going to become a reality. He tells them exactly how it is. He's authentic. He's truthful. And I think kids want that. Kids value that, especially kids at the highest level. All they want to do is be told exactly the way it is going to be. And that's what happens, when they get to the schools at which, he has been the coach at.
He obviously is an offensive mind. How big will it be for him to sell the Big 12, because the Big 12 is such a wide open offensive conference?
I think offensively it's going to be easy to sell. You're right. I mean, from Oklahoma to Iowa State to some of those schools, Baylor and TCU and those guys, all play really high level, offensive football. And that's kind of been the knock on the Big 12 is, they're not going to take that next step in terms of the notoriety that they're looking for at the college football playoffs unless they can start playing some defense. So even though Sark's a very offensive mind, he's going to be in alignment there, but they're going to have to get the defense going as well if they want to compete for a national title.
I want to switch gears ever so slightly and talk about defense. How key do you think it's going to be for him to get the right defensive coordinator?
It's paramount. I mean, he has to be able to go in and get the right defensive coordinator, because that's something, like we have just said, that the Big 12 has yet to been able to do. And I think that you saw a little bit on how much of an impact a good, solid defense can be by looking at the run Oklahoma had at the end of this year into the bowl game. They were playing really good defense, and I think that, coupled with some of the dynamic offenses these programs have, it could be a deadly combination. And I don't really understand why that the Big 12 hasn't been able to play great defense, but Sark's going to figure it out. He's a smart guy. One of the things that I've heard him talk about, in his interviews since getting the job, is about surrounding himself with talented people, and that's kind of in the same alignment that I have here at St. John Bosco. And it would be in his best interest to go out and hire the best defensive coordinator. In Texas, you have the resources, so he'll get it done.
USC hasn't been USC in a long while. UCLA hasn't been UCLA, and I can't even remember when. The Pac-12 is in a down cycle. Is this a good time for him to hit the bricks running in Austin and be able to come into Southern California or other places to recruit?
Oh, without question. And I think the Pac-12, they've struggled over the last couple of years. But I mean, I don't think you can discount the Pac-12. I don't think you can completely discount what they're doing at USC and what they're going to try to do at Washington with Coach Lake there, and as well as Coach Cristobal up at Oregon. Those guys are going to get their programs going. And I think what needs to happen, first of all, with the Southern California teams, is they got to keep their best talent in-house. And that's really what has really doomed them over the last couple of years. And if Coach Sark can come in here and be in a situation where he can continue to pull kids out of here like what has happened over the last couple of years, he's going to get some kids to Austin, and that's going to make a big difference in his program.
How much do you think of his success at Alabama is going to follow him to Texas?
Well, it depends on the type of kids that he can get. I mean, if he can get the same type of kids that he had at Alabama, he's going to have equal the amount of success at Texas, at least offensively. I mean, again, there's a lot of components to being a great football team. It's not just about how many points you can score. You have to be able to stop people, play good special teams. You have to have good kids in the community that aren't going to get in trouble. And you have to have luck going along your way as well. So I think he's going to be able to duplicate that, but he's got to get a guy like Devontae Smith to be able to get into his program. And if he can recruit well and he can convince kids that what he was able to do at Alabama can be done at Texas, then I don't see any reason why he's not going to be able to accomplish that.
Can he parlay the success at Alabama, especially the national championship, into immediate success at Texas?
I think he's going to try. I mean, kids are very observant. Kids are very visual learners, and they're attracted to things. So I think what he has been able to do and the platform that he has had last couple of years at Alabama, with the success that he has had with the last three quarterbacks that he's coached there, by all means, kids are immediate. Kids, they don't look too far into the past. They want immediate gratification, and they're looking at immediate success. And what Coach Sark has done the last three quarterbacks at Alabama to now, it's going to be he's in a ripe position to be able to go out and pull some of the best talent across the country.
All right, here's one for you. Are we too far removed from 2006, when Texas came in here and beat USC for the national championship, for him to be able to play that card?
That's a good question for the Texas community. I mean, I think a little bit. The kids still know a little bit about Vince Young and what they were able to accomplish, but now that Vince is no longer in the NFL and everybody really kind of is focusing on Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, Ohio State. Texas hasn't really been there. I know they were 4-0 over the last 4 bowl games, under Coach Herman and things like that, but that's still not good enough for that community. They want to be in the college football playoffs, and they haven't been there yet. Oklahoma's been there quite a few times over that stretch, so they got a lot of work to do, and I think Starks, from what I know about him and how competitive he is and the type of person that I know he could become, I think it's the right call for them.
Will coaches here on the West Coast still be open to Steve Sarkisian coming into their programs?
Yeah, without question. I mean, he treats us very well. I mean, he's very respectful of our programs. He knows how hard we work as high school football coaches. He knows the time and the effort and the energy that we put in to try to improve our programs. And the best thing about Sark in terms of Southern California, or even across the entire state, is he knows the destinations. He knows where to go to uncover some of the best athletes that we have. And we have a ton of them. I mean, if you look at, California, Florida, Texas, we probably have some of the most talent-rich areas in the country in terms of producing football talent at the college level and then even into the NFL level. So Sark is going to be able to uncover those stones here in California to be able to try to, lure kids to go to Austin. And I think that if he continues with the same mindset that he had when he was at SC Washington and now at Alabama, he's going to be able to get that done.
So finally, Coach, what would your parting comments to the Texas fan base be in who they're getting with Steve Sarkisian?
I think they're getting a guy that's going to work as hard as anybody in the country. I think they're going to get a guy who's going to speak a lot of truth. He again, like I said earlier, he's an authentic guy. He's gonna make them proud. I know that. He had some dark days there, and he had some frustrations at one time, but the guy is a leader, and that's ultimately, I think, what you're looking for. He's going to be the CEO and the play caller of that program, and he's going to take you to new heights. You just got to give him a little bit of time. It's not going to happen, I don't think, overnight. He's got to build the program, but once he's able to do that, I think Texas is going to be a reckoning, at the college football playoffs.
Coach, thank you very much.
All right, hook 'em.